Hey, it's Lock and Load. It's another Monday. We're going to talk about Prepper Pizza. I'm here with my fellow panelist, Squib from Michigan. I saw your avatar picture. I saw Full Metal Jacket the other day, and that looks like that's where you got it, right?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, that's the scene where towards the end of the movie, where they get ambushed by one girl.
Yeah, they're in Way City, and there's one sniper up there. Interestingly enough, she's sniping with an AK.
Not your best sniper weapon. I mean, it's a film, so.
Choice. Yeah, so.
All right, so this email has been going around, this particular picture. This is not an F-37. This is... You want to tell them what it is, Cliff?
It's a wooden mock-up.
Right.
It's a Hollywood prop.
Yeah, in 2005, there was a film called Stealth, and about I guess a machine gets hit by lightning, and they have a computer controlled, and it turns into a self-aware drone fighter jet, stealth fighter jet, and they have problems. I didn't see the movie, but I saw the trailer. Anyway, there's some pretty cool pictures there. I think I'm going to use one for the thumbnail for this video, but anyway, there's a few. Let me see if I could get to the actual page so I could go through these pictures real quick. There's one. There's steam coming off. It looks cool, but it's not really. It's just a movie prop. So, and
yeah, they've got it up on the cat. Now, wait a minute. Scroll back up.
Here?
Is that a modern carrier, or did they film that on the deck of the Intrepid or something? I can't tell by the conning tower if that's a modern carrier or not, but steam would be for a steam catapult, which they could fake that.
Yeah, we talked about the new system, which is electromagnetic, but I think they're still working the bugs out of that system.
Well, you can see the camera right there.
Yeah, Panavision camera, and of course they're wearing green. The guy behind the camera is wearing green, which is the symbol for something, you know.
Yeah, that would be avionics usually. So if they're wearing deck jerseys and they could be on a live flight deck, they obviously are not going to be able to launch this thing because it's a prop. But maybe they are, because
they could launch it. It's just that it wouldn't fly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it'd go right off the end and in the water. Well, they have filmed on carriers. Top Gun was filmed on a carrier and things like that. But there's lots of different ways they can do that.
So it says here's the 3 aircraft carriers: the Lincoln, the Kitty Hawk, and the Reagan. But I don't know if this is photoshopped or what. But some flyovers. So I'm going to use one of these. Here's
they do photo ops out there. Actually, we did one where our whole battle group got together, and they took an aerial photo from some of the helicopters from the carrier in our battle group. And we were all in formation, and it looked great. I mean, I couldn't see it obviously from the air, but I could see all the ships around us. Like, wow, dang! Because when we were at sea, we usually didn't see any other ships, or we might see 2 or 3 or 4 at the most, but we never saw the entire battle group except for the photo op we did. And I have looked online everywhere for that picture.
Well, I've got like, some naval videos with, like, I had one with the Music to Victory at Sea, basically I married that to the Rim Pack, Navy release, and I didn't monetize it or anything because it's not my music, and they want to mess it up with commercials anyway. It was just like, historical, homage to the Navy or something. But anyway, this is a cool pick. I'm going to use it for Lock and Load because it's got a stealth bomber in it. It looks cool. 3 carriers.
Well, see, you can get an idea. This isn't even all the ships either. But you can get an idea of how many ships are to support a carrier, and then the planes flying over, and then for a strategic bomber to fly from Guam or Hawaii or even a mainland out there just to take a picture, or they're flying from one place to another, and they just have them reroute, get in formation. I mean, these pilots, they love this crap. So
they do.
Oh yeah, they do. I remember one helicopter squadron came back from their 6-month deployment, and I'm watching from our hangar. I'm watching their hangar, and they got all the families out there, and all the helicopters are flying in from the ship, and they fly around in formation, and they come in and land, and the attack helicopters all flew in a row and then lined up at an angle, and then they all did a pedal turn. They all went left rudder all at the same time, so they all turned at the same time and then sat down, and like they had rehearsed it, or which they probably did while they were on their way back or something. So I mean, yeah, these guys will show off. They'll do photo op if they're told to. So and you know what? It's great for morale. People love the pictures. I love the pictures. I mean, I would love to find the picture of the battle group I was in. I'm sure it's in some Navy archive somewhere, but.
Well, the defense, they have a website. I could try and get it to you, get you a message later of where you can get Navy, the Department of Defense pictures and videos and download it. They have like a, picture of the week, your picture of, and they, they're submitted by.
There's a few. They're by branch, and they also have historical archives. I mean, I looked up my wife's grandfather's World War II ship, and they had pictures of it on there, and he was just so happy to see. It's a barge now, but he was just so happy to see it and that sort of thing. So there are, but I've tried looking specifically for Landing Force 6th Fleet 393, and I haven't been able to find anything for that. But I found other people's stuff, and I mean, there's tons of pictures of the ship that I was on, and it's at the bottom of the Atlantic now. But
target practice.
Target practice, yep.
All right, so we wanted to talk about prepper pizza, just a hodgepodge of stuff. We wanted to talk about. You had sent me an email or message through Gun Channels, and we're on gunchannels.com/HVS for the text chat about like bug out guns, and I did a video on it because I think Rich 5160 or something, like somebody had a video tag where they tagged you for everybody to some kind of contest where you just do a video reply with your top 3 bug out guns, and so like a lot of people did a video for them, and so I did. And you had some questions. I also, before we do that, I just want to say in the Gun Channels chat, I posted like a link for a prepper matrix, so we can talk about some other prepper stuff and current events too. Anyway, go shoot.
So, in the video, you picked the AK-47. So my first question was, did you pick the AK-47 due to the availability of the ammo? Because 7.62x39 is fairly common. I mean, I understand the AK-47 will run when it's dirty, when it's wet. It's very reliable, it's very rugged, but was commonality of the ammunition one of your factors?
Yeah, commonality with my 18-inch CZ bolt action, same ammo.
Yeah,
so,
which was one of my other questions. Was that a pick also due to the fact that they share the ammo?
Yeah. So yeah, and longer range, obviously, with an 18-inch barrel and tighter tolerances, it's going to be more accurate at longer ranges.
What kind of scope was on the CZ 527?
A loophole. It's the 2016 BXI loophole 3XI. It with a varmint reticle.
Oh.
So it's got like a ranging reticle on it, kind of.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't remember you mentioning that in the video, and I was wondering exactly what it was.
Thought I did mention it, but maybe you haven't watched every one of my videos. But it's one of those things where you have to like really get into the weeds and watch every video to keep up with every little detail.
I might have missed it too. So with regard to the AK-47, as far as its reliability and the fact that it's well known as a rugged gun, would you say that an AK-74 or a VZ-58 might not be a good choice for a bug out gun because of the different ammo or the fact that the magazines aren't interchangeable. If you did come across, I mean, how many VZ58 magazines are out there?
I don't know, but I have a ton of AK mags. I mean, I did a video recently when I got like somebody on Gun Channels. It was the early watch show where somebody, I don't know, Pink or somebody posted a deal from some website. Oh, I think it was Palmetto State Armory, and I got like 20 metal magazines or 30 metal magazines for like, $5.90 each, and but you had to buy like 30 of them, and I already had quite a few AK mags, and they were Croatian, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and so I've got a lot of mags for that thing, and I think to answer your question, I asked on the AK Guru chat, G-Webs does, I think, and I said, well, what would you pick for a bug out gun, an AK-47 or a 74 or a VZ? And they all said 47. Without exception, there wasn't anybody on the chat that didn't pick a 47 over everything else. I guess, and they're supposed to be the experts, but, I don't have a 74 or a VZ, and I'm very happy with my AK, I mean, I'm happy with my Tavor, but it was only 3 rifles, so.
I think the 74 and the VZ58 might, might have the same reliability, which is great, but if you don't have interchangeable magazines or interchangeable parts or common ammo, that might be an issue because you can only carry so much with you, and you've got to expect that at some point or another you're going to come across something, you're going to come across ammo somewhere. If it's not left on a store shelf, which I doubt, it's going to be in some abandoned house or something.
I think we're only down to one gun store on the west side of this island now. I think the Elite Hunters, I think they closed. Another gun guy moved to Arizona who used to be one of the employees there. He has a YouTube channel called Bat Jack JW. For kind of like for John Wayne stuff, and he got fed up with Hawaii gun laws, and he just moved to Arizona.
Can you blame him?
No, for gun laws, no. It's he said he feels free. It's like it's supposed to be, and I understand, but the way things are going, if Hawaii declares itself a sanctuary state and like California wants to secede from the union, I just, and they cut off federal funding, you won't have to worry about the police enforcing gun laws because they won't be able to pay the police. Hawaii will go broke like the very first day that they cut off federal funding, and all the police will want to work in a state where there's a solvent pension fund, and Hawaii has 70% unfunded pensions. But so I'm going to start. I'll save the ranting about gold and the financial collapse of the world for later in the chat because I know how much G-Webs loves that shit. But go ahead.
I see Dusty's on. Hey, Dusty.
Yeah. What's up, Dusty?
Hello. I just decided I'd join in.
All right. Thanks, man.
And then the last one that you picked out of the 3 is a Glock 17, which, I mean, you can find magazines for that and easily, and 9mm ammo is it's everywhere. So I think it's a good choice. You did say you needed a holster. Why don't you just give Nathan a call?
Oh God! After that last chat with Nathan, because I got a Stealth Gear USA holster for it. I mean,
okay. When you did the video, you said you didn't have a holster yet, so you did get a holster.
Did I not have a holster for it when that? Possibly, yeah. But when now I have one. Now I have a. I had originally got one for my LC9S Pro, but then the people in gun channels talked me from a Ruger LC9S Pro, and the people in gun channels talked me into getting a laser for it. And so now after I put the Crimson Trace laser on it, which, I had, the laser argument on Edge of the Week chat. And so some people were for lasers, some people are against lasers. But anyway, that didn't fit anymore because, the Kydex on it's basically a Kydex core like fabric, a holster that's screwed on So the part like up against your body inside the waistband is like, some kind of soft material. But the Kydex, where the gun slides in, is on the outside, and you don't touch that, but it's molded to the gun, but it's, since there was, after I put a laser on, it didn't fit. So I used the original one from Stealth Gear USA, the holster that I have for, and they're not cheap, for my LC380, which I really don't use that much, because I prefer the LC9. But I have a holster for it, whatever. And I bought one because you can go on Stealth Gear USA and, select what your accessories are, and they'll send you a Kydex one. So I bought another holster for that. And while I was doing that, I not only got one for my Glock holster from Stealth Gear USA holster for my Glock 17, I got a flashlight. So they had basically what happened was I was waiting, till there was a sale at Stealth Gear USA. And, somebody, I think Dr. No was giving me shit because, well, look, he just put it in a cheap leg holster on my first video with it. Yeah, because when I got my Glock 17, I ran out to the range and started shooting it because I wanted to have fun with it. And it's like, I didn't have a holster for it. I just had like a leg holster. And then, and kind of it was a leg holster. It worked, but it wasn't like my ideal holster for it or anything. But, it was kind of Mad Maxy because you could drive in a what were the tanks that they drove around in Mad Max? I forget. But you could drive around in it, and not have any problems if it's on your leg. But it was just something, it was better than nothing. It was all I had. And so, but eventually I was going to get a good holster, but I waited until there was like a 30% off sale before I bought anything, so I went several months, and then I got another 2. So I have 3 Stealth Gear USA holsters, one for the LC 380, one for the LC9S Pro with the Crimson Trace laser on it, and a Glock 17 with a holster with no accessories. The Kydex is just the plain set up for the plain Glock 17, because only thing I did to my Glock was put up one of those, I think, Glock store, Rock Your Glock. They have like a trigger, rocket trigger, a connector bar, just the connector bar, and I put it in with some Battleborn grease, and that's all I did to it, and it works great. So, and it's really reliable. It's not like your ultimate trigger or anything, but it goes bang when I pull it. So, and it resets okay. And I'm not like expert marksman with a pistol, but I can get trigger happy. So,
as long as it works.
Yeah. You don't want to be downrange and a bad guy if I get trigger happy, but.
So I gave it some thought today, and I said, okay, I'm going to base it off of guns that I have in the house. If we had to leave and I could only carry 3 guns, for some reason or another, there were only 3 guns I could take with me.
Like weight?
What I have.
Can you imagine trying to carry 4?
It's not just weight, it's ammunition, or maybe we're on foot instead of in the truck, or whatever the reason is. So I've got to think, based off of my experience having to carry, a few times in the military I had to carry multiple guns for stupid reasons. So what would work, what would be best? And I tried to think of commonality of ammunition, reliability of firearm, what I'm most comfortable with, and what's the most versatile. And the best I could come up with was I would take my M1 Garand. I've got a pump action 12 gauge, and I'd put the choke on it that I've got that's set up for buckshot.
And M1 Garand, that's a kind of a heavy rifle, right?
A lot of people complain about the weight. I like heavy guns, so it doesn't bother me. I'll take that 30-06 over 223 any day. If somebody said it's the AR or the Garand, I'll pitch the AR. I'd rather have, and some people say, well, it's only got 8 rounds in a clip and that sort of thing. But I'm telling you, I love my M1 Garand. Don't get me, I like my AR-15. Who doesn't? They're excellent target and training rifles and whatnot. But I'll take the 30-06 and that rifle, heavy or not, any day over the AR. So I'd take my M1 Garand, and 30-06 is available. The only downside I can think of is I've been advised that if you use anything other than the old military load, the 147, 150 grain full metal jacket, you could damage the operating rod. So if I found hunting ammunition and loaded it in my M1 Garand, I do stand a chance of damaging it. And then the next would be my pump action 12 gauge. I would put the choke in there that I've got that's set up for buckshot. And then for my sidearm, it'd be my 1911, and it's not a double stack or anything special. You use a standard 1911 7/8 round magazine. So I could find magazines and I could find ammunition for it a lot. It'd be real easy. Plus, I love the 45, and the sights are good. It's very comfortable, and in my hand, I'm very confident using it. So if I didn't take the 1911, I'd take my high power. But magazines for that would be a little bit harder to find, but the 9mm ammo would be available.
I'm glad you didn't say high point. I was coming back from the pool area today and going back up to my condo, and somebody had a car parked in the guest parking, and it had a sticker on it that said High Point Firearms. And I was going to go get a piece of paper and get my video camera. I didn't do it, and get a piece of paper and a Sharpie and write, "We are not afraid of your High Point," and put it on the windshield and take a video of it, and then see if the guy comes back, reads it. But it's just, why would anybody put a High Point firearm sticker on their car? I don't know. And when I could see a Glock sticker, or a gun channel sticker, or an Every Second Matter sticker, or a Colt firearms, or a Barrett sticker, but a High Point sticker. I was like thinking, really? Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't be too proud of that. I mean, I'm not I'm a bit of a gun snob, but I'm not. If somebody looked at my stuff, they'd be like, "Well, where's your $2,000 guns?" Because I don't have anything that's over $900. I'm not gonna lie, but I am somewhat of a gun snob. Yeah, I think I'd stay away from the High Point or the Kel-Tec. Although I did shoot a High Point once. Somebody at the range let me shoot their High Point, and I did think it was nice. I was surprised.
You did? Wow, I've never shot one.
It was a High Point carbine.
Oh, the carbon. Okay.
Is 40 Smith & Wesson, and he had a red dot scope on it. And I'm like, nah. He's like, oh, come on. And I put two magazines through it. It was a little weird to load for me because I had some problem with it, and so he had to load it for me. But other than that, though, I thought it was accurate, and it didn't have any problems functioning. It had.
What I heard about is that it's just a pain in the ass to take apart and clean, but
Oh, well, I mean, I didn't think it was that loud, and it wasn't suppressed, but it just wasn't that loud. It didn't have a whole lot of kick, and I thought, wow, these things got a bad rep, but this one seems to be nice, but I'm still not going to run out and get one.
Okay, well, let's see. I have a couple questions from the YouTube side. Doesn't a 30-round AR mag loaded weigh 1 pound?
I think so. It's been a long time since they made us memorize that stuff in the military, but I mean, as far as the weight of ammunition, that's something people whine about. I can tell you, I've got an ammo can full of 30-06. I'd throw it in a backpack and carry it with me, along with probably 1 or 2 bandoliers with end block clips. And I know that's a lot of weight, but I'm not in the same shape I was 20 years ago. But I think I'll be fine. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's just so much weight. It's so much." It's like, oh, geez, man up. I mean,
man the fuck up. Speaking of which, where the hell is Rob Swanson from Fox Company Prepping? I haven't seen him doing any chats lately, but any hangouts. Okay, so another question is, why do you Americans have so many preppers? So I'm assuming he's not from America. And he didn't, and I bet he...
The people at the top would let the world fall into chaos.
They've done it before. I mean, where were you during World War I and World War II when the world fell into chaos? I mean, and the Great War and all those other wars in Europe. They're always starting wars in Europe, and then America has to come and save their ass.
There
like
are
we don't.
wealthy people who do have bomb shelters and things like that. They do have stuff like that for rich folk. So I'm
Yeah,
not saying that the world is definitely going to end. I think prepping is just a choice, and there's no harm in it. That's the thing that I think is great about it, is there's no harm in prepping.
I think it has to do. If I had to say why there's preppers, I think it was because of just like the whole frontier, living on the frontier aspect of the expansion westward from when America was founded. And of course. I mean, basically, it all falls under the rule shit happens. I mean, World War II happened. Japan signed an Axis agreement with Hitler, and screw them for that, but, and then they bombed Pearl Harbor, and Hitler was insane, insane megalomaniac. So I think he was just crazy, and anyway.
Here's the thing: if you want to spend your free time and your money on prepping, that's your choice, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's an entire industry based off of it, as far as all the items that are sold and all the training that is done. And you never know when any of that will come in handy for something other than the end of the world or the zombie apocalypse. If a hurricane does hit your island, you're in a better position than maybe some of your neighbors. Or if there was a big fire, or somebody at your condo got hurt or something like that, you've got medical preps and things like that that might be the difference. Before an ambulance can get there and get them to the hospital, it could be. There's all kinds of scenarios where prepping has day-to-day secondary uses.
And look at Leia, look at Hurricane Katrina, look at the hurricanes in Florida, and I live in Hawaii, man. I mean, we had last season, I think we had over 15 hurricanes that were near misses on this island that had like major wind impacts, and if you live on Hawaii and you don't prep for a hurricane, you're insane. I mean, because they happen all the time with predictable regularity. On the Big Island, we have this gigantic mountain called Mauna Loa, and these weather patterns that tend to rip the top off every hurricane as soon as it gets really close. So they'll be like, for like 2 weeks, it'll be all, it's coming, here it comes, it's headed straight for us. And then at the last moment, it veers off because this big mountain called Mauna Loa, this volcano, it's one of like 7 or 9 volcanoes we have on this island, and it just it rises straight up out of the sea, this huge to this 13,000 foot level or whatever, and it just the way the wind whips around the volcano and the trade winds, they just rip the top off of the hurricane, and they almost always veer north, or south. But they never make direct landfall almost. But even a near miss just really screws up all the electricity and knocks down. We have non-native albazia trees, which have very thin upper branches, and they just the wind from the hurricane just knocks them into the power lines, and like basically when the power mains go down, like on a highway, it just takes out like power to 1/3 of the whole island, and it takes like 3 weeks for them to get it back up, and there's, okay, Big John, hey, so it's like, it's everybody has their own opinion of whether you need to prep, you could just rely on nothing ever going wrong in your life, but I can tell you that all kinds of things have gone wrong in my life, and for me, my parents were in Warsaw. My grandparents were in Warsaw, and my uncle was alive when Hitler overran it. And they had to bug out, and they had to bug out to Russia, and they wound up in the Archangel Forest in Siberia. It was pretty cold, and I mean, you want to talk about the ultimate bug out story? I won't go over it all because I don't want to bore you. But they were in Europe. And when they got back after the war, you know, they were. The people go like, well, why did a lot of Jews, you know, immigrate out of Europe after World War II to either America or to Israel? And it's like, well, if they would have showed up to their old house or their old business and says, hi, we're Jewish, you know, repatriating after the war, we'd like our homes or businesses back. Every morning there would be piles of Jews stacked up like cordwood that had tried to do that, and they were all dead. So a lot of people in Europe, you know, which is the whole thing with the refugee problem, wound up in displaced persons camps. You know, my grandparents said, nope, we're not Polish. They were Polish, but said, we're German Jewish displaced peoples, and so they weren't. But, you know, they if they had tried to claim any property, they would have been dead. So, and my grandfather was in the Polish army, so anything was better than dying. So, you know, and they waited 5 years in Belgium, to make a long story short, for a visa to immigrate to the United States, you know, and that's what they did. So it's just stuff happens, you know, and obviously there's a whole history about the whole thing in refugees is in Europe is that a lot of people and why a lot of people in Europe have a, you know, sympathy for refugees is because most of Europe were refugees. A lot of people have family and friends that were in displaced persons camps. But the problem is they were all European refugees, and the Syrians don't have the same common background. And neither do people from Ethiopia or Somalia or those 7 countries that Trump picked. They're not European refugees, so they just have a different
maybe they need to
culture.
prep over there.
Maybe they need to prep in Somalia, you know. But it's well, you were in Somalia, and you know, so you might be able to tell how bad it is in sub-Saharan Africa, you know.
Yeah, it's a shithole. Other than that, you know, it's kind of like this. If you don't like where you live because of the conditions there, be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Our forefathers risked losing everything, risked prison, risked execution, and risked losing all of their riches. You know, some of these people that founded our country were wealthy businessmen and things like that. They risked it all to form the greatest country on the earth. Any country that has people there that aren't willing to do the same are never going to be as great as America. And that's not my fault or my problem. I am blessed to live in a country where my forefathers, because my family's been here for 400 years, okay? My forefathers risked everything, and some of them did lose everything during the war. The British took their stuff or imprisoned them or executed them or whatnot. But there were people that risked everything so that their children's children could live free. They had no idea they were going to form the greatest country on the earth, but that's what ended up happening out of it. So if there are people in other countries that say, we want what America has, then do what we did and you'll have it. But as long as you want to sit there and be ignorant or cowardly or fight amongst each other or blame the rest of the world for your problems, you're always going to be some third world country where everybody's miserable. And that might sound insensitive, but I don't care.
Well, I just want to say I have friends in Europe, you know, and I don't have anything against any. I have family in Europe. It's you know, I don't have anything against Europe at all. You know,
I'm not necessarily talking about Europe. They're developed countries, and you're not going to get England to, you know, one day have a revolution and change everything that they do over there. I'm not necessarily talking about Europe per se, although some of the countries over there have been fighting forever. I'm talking about these countries where the terrorists come from. But let me say this, okay? Big John, when you start off your sentence, why do you Americans? Okay, that usually means it's somebody from another country wanting to criticize America and wanting to start a fight. And you say that you're not trolling, and I wasn't trying to escalate anything. However, usually when you start off a sentence that way, it's usually a foreigner wanting to pick a fight with them. I work with foreigners all day long. I work for a French company in America, and we're worldwide. also, because of the nature of the business we do at my location, we have people from all over. Some of them come in and stay for a matter of weeks or months or years, and some of them come over here and stay. They all want to live here. They all want to live here. They fight tooth and nail not to go back. They fight tooth and nail not to go back to England, to France, to Japan, to Germany, to Brazil, and then some of the ones that come from the third world countries, all the ones that come up from Mexico to do training here, to do everything they can to stay here longer. They all want to be here. They all bitch about America. They all criticize America. They all say how bad Americans are and how arrogant Americans are and all these other things. But they all want to be here. Now, what is that? Something to be said about being America, or being an American, and how great this country is. It's not perfect. No country is. But we got to where we were because people made sacrifices and took risks. And if these people overseas in these third world countries where it is miserable, where it is dangerous, where there is, I mean, they've some of these guys, I think they turn to terrorism because they have nothing else. It's a shame, but instead of using all that infrastructure and that training and that built up anger to go across the world and kill innocent Americans, why don't you form a revolution and make your country as great as this country?
Well, good luck. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do, and it took quite a bit of a revolution, and a lot of people died, fighting, in the Revolutionary War against what at the time was the most powerful military in the world. But I think what makes America great isn't, the economy or that people can get, make a living necessarily, compared to other economies not being good, but it's really the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I mean, I don't think anybody has, any other country has, France based its founding papers after the French Revolution on the United States Constitution, the Bill of Rights, but I don't think any other country really lists all the freedoms down, that the people are guaranteed, and so it's just, I think everybody just wants to be free, and if you want to find, we can tell you there's a lot of problems with America, but and we live here, so we know what all the problems are. It's really weird because sometimes. When I see stuff on the BBC or and they criticize America, they're not criticizing the things that are actually wrong with America. They're criticizing stuff based on their preconceptions of
and that's
what
just it. Because I
mean,
work with a lot of foreigners. I work with people from Great Britain whose parents, elderly parents, who are still in good enough shape to travel, refuse to fly to America, not because they can't get a travel visa or anything, or they can't afford it or anything. They don't want to come over here because they've seen TV shows all their life, and America is a bunch of cowboys, and they're afraid they'll walk down the street and get shot by, all these gun-toting Americans, and they had this preconceived notion. And even though they have family members that have lived here for over a decade saying, look, Mom, Dad, that's a TV show. It ain't really, they don't care, and they're so ignorant. They don't even want to come over here to experience it themselves. On the other hand, when I travel to Las Vegas, I see tons of people from overseas wanting to go over there and party. So there are people that from other countries that do come here and do spend money here and do. I mean, I went around to a whole bunch of national parks out west back in August. I think we were the only Americans there. Everybody was speaking another language. It was actually a little bit annoying, but like the country of France takes the whole month of August off, so I should have known better. Working for a French company, I should know that. But the thing is, with regard to prepping, look at all the preppers in Poland. America's not the only country.
Yeah, my grandmother, after her experience in World War II and having to bug out after Warsaw was overrun by the Nazis, I mean, when she lived in Los Angeles, when I visited her house, and whenever I would open her refrigerator or freezer, it was always packed full to the brim, and you could never ever see the light. When you open the refrigerator, you could never see the refrigerator light or the freezer light. I mean, it was always packed full, just in case, because they had to bug out and they didn't have food, and they. At one point when they were in Kyrgyzstan and my grandfather had to go fight in the army against the Nazis. He was a sapper in the Polish Second Corps that was formed in Kyrgyzstan that fought under Russian command. She got sick, and because basically they worked in a concrete factory, and if you didn't work, you didn't eat, and so she couldn't. When she fell ill, she couldn't work, and she couldn't feed my mother or my uncle, who were just children. And so she went to the refugee camp, and no, she went to an orphanage in Kyrgyzstan, and she told the person running the orphanage, "You have to take my children. I'm sick. I can't work, so I can't feed them, and that they're going to die if I don't feed them." And they said, "Well, we can't take your children because they're not orphans. This is an orphanage, And it was red tape. So she picked up a knife from the table, put it to her throat, and said, "Well, I'm going to fix that problem for you right now." And she was just about to slice her jugular vein in two when they stopped her and they said, "We'll get you a job working that you can do, not in the concrete factory, and we'll feed your kids." And so it's she was ready to kill herself because she didn't have enough food to feed her kids. And
well, as a parent, you're willing to sacrifice anything in a push comes to shove situation for your kids. The prepping for you has a lot of deep family ties, and it's absolutely understandable. The prepping for me, although I'm not a hardcore prepper or a dedicated prepper, the prepping for me comes from growing up on the coast and having to go through hurricanes and having power outages and things like that. The reason I keep a week's worth of non-perishable food and water in the house and a few other things like extra batteries or flashlights in every room or propane for the torch and a way to cook food or boil water on the grill or things like that is simply from growing up with hurricanes. Now I live somewhere where a hurricane could never get to me. We might get some rain from a hurricane or something, but we're not gonna have the power shut off for a week. But what's weird is in Michigan, there's a lot of power outages when the weather's perfectly fine. It doesn't make a lick of sense, but it's just old habits from when I was a kid. So for some people, it's just how they grew up and what they've experienced. I'm sure maybe somebody who has gone through a lot of wildfires out in California might have a really decent bug out vehicle or something. Or
I went through wildfires. My place in Malibu burned down, and then there was a flash flood, and one of the places that I moved into, the house next door was washed out to sea.
It might be incentive to have a decent four-wheel drive truck to get out of there. I mean, I got to tell you, I've got a 1-ton 4x4 pickup truck, not because I haul stuff around with it all the time. It's so I can get through the snow and through the potholes and stuff like that. But if it's because the weather's bad here and the roads are bad here, and I've got to be able to get to work and things like that. But if we had a bug out situation, I know my truck will go over a lot of things. It will push a lot of things out of the way. It'll go up and over and around, and it's not perfect. It's not totally indestructible. If the roads are totally clogged, it would be useless. But in a bug out situation, I'm really not afraid to take the thing off road or through something, or put the bumper to it and push some little car out of my way or whatever else like that. And it's not because I'm worried that there's going to be a zombie apocalypse and roads are going to be. It's because I have to drive in crappy snow and potholes. So there are things about your lifestyle or things about the way you grew up or the way your family has a history with that can stay with you. I know that I plan to move out west, and out there a lot of people have two-wheel drive. They don't need the four-wheel drive. I'm probably going to keep a four-wheel drive truck the rest of my life because of my experience here in Michigan, and it could be a vehicle for a bug out. You never know. So,
yeah, I've got a Blazer, 2000 Chevy Blazer. I don't think they make them anymore, but it's four-wheel drive, and yeah, it's like I can go up to I need it to get up to the only real hunting area where you can shoot. I can go shoot my lawn guns on the Big Island on at least on this side of the island. It's if I want to bug out, go off road. I sold a really decent Mustang, for dirt cheap to a Marine that I knew, and he said, "Here, take it. Give me $750. It's yours." And it's like, I got, my Blazer. So, anyway, there was a cop that was hunting for that particular got into it with a cop, and he was specifically hunting my red Mustang, so I sold it to somebody else. But because I didn't.
Because it's a 4-wheel drive SUV, you could hop a curb with it. You could go, through some stuff that you can't go through with a Mustang. You can load your preps in the back, things like that. It has a secondary.
Yeah, absolutely. Hawaii, Big Island is definitely 4-wheel drive country. There's no doubt about it. I still want to get, I know one of the Ammo Mafia guys got my ultimate Mad Max Speed Demon was that Hellcat, Dodge Hellcat, which is a souped up Challenger. Supposed to be 707 horsepower, which is ridiculous. I don't think it's quite that much, but that would be like my speed demon for my fantasy, but apocalypse, post-apocalyptic speed car. But I don't have one yet. They're, I think, $70,000. So I'm working on my other preps, the less expensive ones. Hey, Dust, do you have anything you want to say? Because we've been gabbing.
I was just going to say that red Mustangs will get you tickets all the time. Mustang also. And I had enough points on my license, I was going to lose them.
Yeah, no, I got into it with this cop, and it was real. He was literally hunting my car. So, anyway, I won't go too into all the details on it. But anyway, I just want to say that all I've noticed is that in Europe, a lot of people from Europe just hate on the United States. I don't know why, but it's common, And
as far as prepping in my situation, my parents grew up during the Depression. So they know what it was like to have food one day and not have food the next. In fact, I have a .22 rifle that I got from my grandpa. And my mom always tells me that the only meat she ever got to eat was the meat that rifle shot. So, the prepping has kind of turned into an American thing.
Yeah. I got to say that I got a lot passed down to me through my grandparents and through my parents who got a lot passed down from my grandparents about the Depression and about getting by and being, poor, living out in the sticks and having to make ends meet or take any job you can get or work your butt off to prove to somebody that you're worth it because you don't have an some sort of educational pedigree behind you to back you up and things like that. And it's hard for me to instill that stuff into my children because they're so far removed from it and they don't have to go without or just so many things have changed. That greatest generation mentality, I think, is a valuable thing for somebody to understand because those people were willing to make sacrifices for their family and make sacrifices to keep this country from, falling into, just imagine what would happen if we hadn't jumped into World War II, or just imagine what would have happened if we hadn't pulled ourselves out of the Great Depression. So
World War II kind of fell on us. We didn't jump into it. It fell right on the top of it.
Well, it did, but we jumped into it. I mean, I was kind of having this debate with somebody from England that, Churchill wanted us in the war and Roosevelt wanted us in the war, but Roosevelt knew he couldn't get the popular support to get us in the war. And,
well, it's like after 9/11, I know people that joined the Marines just right after 9/11, it's like people were willing to march into a hell carrying buckets of gasoline,
I mean, look at Pat Tillman. He left the NFL, and then he got killed over there in friendly fire. So.
Yeah. War really sucks. I mean, it's not something you want to be in if you can avoid it, but sometimes you just don't have a flipping choice. You can. Yeah. Well, so let me just ask you, what did you learn in the Marine Corps you think? I mean, what was like some of the major things that you could share with other people that would help them in their prepping, or what helps you that you learned from the Marine Corps the most?
Well, that a lot of things are in your mind, a lot of things are in your head. If you really want something, you can work for it and get it. So if you're going to sit there and say there's no hope and there's no way I'm going to work myself out of here, then you're not going to make it out. But if you say I'm not going to stop until I get out of this situation, then you will get yourself out. It may cost you. It may be tough, but you can get through anything, and you can apply that to day-to-day life. You can apply that to business. You can apply that to prepping. You can apply that to a lot. Another thing about the Marine Corps is redundancy, contingency, and that sort of thing. We had contingency supplies everywhere because we had such a low budget. We would gradually build up contingency supplies, and if there was a situation where we had to go to war and we had to have a lot of our assets deployed, we had just enough contingency supplies to be able to equip our people or arm our people or repair our vehicles or do whatever we had to do. And it was really difficult to do on a low budget. So instead of making gigantic purchases all at once, we gradually, you'd stash stuff places and gradually build up a supply of whatever it was, everything from gun oil all the way up to helicopter engines. It didn't matter. And it's just because you have to learn how to work within that small budget in order to keep yourself operational, because they're going to deploy you whether you got the stuff to do it or not.
I don't have room in my condominium for a helicopter engine, but okay.
but you could apply that. See, you don't have to look at prepping as, holy crap, I got to shell out $50,000 this year. No, start small and then gradual increments, that sort of thing.
It's like you can start prepping. You can start out with prepping with like, okay, I'm going to Walmart. I gotta put aside $10 for 2 Mountain House meals or something.
Yeah, or making sure that you've got fresh batteries on hand or something, or maybe you go, well, maybe I'll buy a bulk pack, a blister pack of batteries this time instead of just buying the small package, or every week at the grocery store you pick up an extra gallon of water or something like that, or just getting up every morning and doing your daily 7, doing calisthenics every morning to keep your body, you do your stretches first and your calisthenics. It's not only good for your health and maybe keep a little weight off and stuff, but it also keep you limber and your body in good shape in case you did have to do something physical in a situation where you had to run or you were caught in a fire or who the heck knows. That's something from the Marine Corps. And there's so many things. And the other branches, they have certain level of what they do too. I'd say the Marine Corps and the Army were probably the two that do more of the outdoorsy, survivally, that sort of thing. But I mean, in the Navy, those guys learn how to tie knots and swim and do all kinds of same thing in the Coast Guard. I can't really speak too much for the Air Force. I mean, they've got security for the airfields, and those guys are trained real well. And they've got the PJs that go in and rescue people, and those guys are trained real well. And it's not just the guys that they set down. The air crew for those helicopters and stuff, I've hung with those guys. They're pretty tough. So I guess it's just whatever you take out of it. But just I would say that a lot of stuff is in your head. If you want to just give up, then you're gonna pay the consequence. Don't give up.
Yeah, that's a core thing. Keep fighting, and if you give up, you die. And so you don't win.
I mean, I like Matt's advice last year when there was all the panic buying. He said every payday, pick up a couple boxes of shells. Now, economically, it's not as practical as buying a case of ammunition, but that's what I did every payday. I would pick up at least 1 box of shells, if not 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think I was ever able to buy more than 5 at a time, and I don't think I bought a case of ammo since 2014 or 2015, but it gradually built up. And
yeah, it's harder to keep organized though when you have all those individual boxes. I did a video where it took me like 2 days to just count up and do a tally. I just wanted to see what I had so I would know what I was short on compared to everything else. But it took 2 days to go through all those separate individual boxes. But yeah, it works. It works. What you're saying works.
I use the same thing with my reload supplies. Say I'm ordering ammunition or cleaning supplies or parts off of a website, and they sell reload supplies like bullets. Okay, I'll throw a 100 pack of bullets or a 500 pack of bullets on that order, and they'll come in. And it may not be because I'm doing any reloading at that particular time, but I just, I'm still paying the same in shipping, and for another, $13-20, whatever it is, I get 100 more bullets, and it's cheaper than buying them at the local store, or they've got something that the local store doesn't have or something like that. And I just throw one on every order. And eventually I end up with enough bullets, and now all I need is primer and powder. Or like I just placed an Amazon order, and I bought a couple different things. One of them was an Israeli bandage, so when it comes in, I may open it up to see what it looks like. But I threw a reloading die on the order, one that I needed that I don't have. It was only an extra $20. Okay, no big deal. So I'm not shelling out $500 at a time. I was already buying a few other things. So I threw an Israeli bandage and a reload die on the order. Big deal, So it's just sometimes it's little things. If you've got a big budget, sure, go ahead. Get a case of this. Get a case of your bulk savings are great, but not everybody's got or the space, like you were talking about the space. If you're trying to prep in a condo, or I was telling you before the chat there about how small my backyard is, and putting in a greenhouse would be impractical. So.
Yeah, it would be awesome, but are you going to be moving out west anytime in the near future?
Our timetable right now is 2.5 years, and when we get out there, we're probably not going to be living out in the country initially. We'll probably be renting a place in the city.
Is your company moving that you work for?
No, and they don't have any. They don't have anything, so I'm going to have to start all over again. It's going to be tough, but I'll make it work.
I want to say something nice about it. I've liked almost all the European people that I've met and worked with in my company. Not all of them, but I like a lot of them, And, some of them have preconceived notions of America, but most of them that have been here for a while don't. But I've worked with people from every country, when I was running Digital Post and my old recording studio. But, boy, that was a long time ago. It just seems like forever.
Well, I can tell you that there was one time where I had a French guy laying into me, and he was giving me the whole "you Americans" and all your blah blah blah. And
I never had anybody do that to me.
Well, see, that's because you're not surrounded by them all day long.
I was surrounded by them all day long, every day. I got insulted in different languages if I made a mistake. But
well, okay, then. All I know is I've been there almost 20 years, and I'm surrounded by a lot of people from other countries who, even though they want to live here, they don't want to assimilate. But anyhow, I just remember this guy was laying into me about something, and then he just went on with the "you Americans" and "you're blah 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 and blah blah blah," and he just kept insulting America, and I couldn't take it anymore. And I said, "Look, pal, if it weren't for us Americans, you'd be speaking German right now." And another French guy was walking by, and he heard that. Later that day, that French guy came up to me and he goes, "Hey, because I told the first guy, I go, my great uncle was over in Normandy and stormed the beaches for you and blah blah blah." So later, this other French guy comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, man, I just want you to know we're not all like that. I am thankful that your great uncle stormed the beaches in Normandy, and there are some people that do think America is great."
Yeah, but it's really it's when if I don't know if you remember what's just a point of how. Thing about Europe is like you remember when the Concorde crashed in France, and basically one of the French girls that I worked with all the time, she told me everybody in France was like, "Oh well, don't worry about it. It was really just full of a bunch of Germans anyway, because World War I has not been forgotten, nor World War II. When the Germans, when Hitler, invaded, but it's like this stuff goes back, to, Archduke Ferdinand getting shot. There's just so much shit that happened in Europe that America had nothing to do with, and, so I don't, boy, all those wars suck, but they keep happening over there. And I know America is tired of deploying overseas, into Europe, and it's expensive to keep an army raised overseas. And I think that's one thing Trump's working on. Is like, we aren't made of money. You can't afford to have like 10,000 tanks deployed in Europe, 24/7 every day of the week, every year, available to charge into any country, that Russia wants to, roll its tanks up into. So I don't know. I hope everything gets worked out, and we can avoid, any more European wars or any wars. But it doesn't seem like that's the way it's going. And that's the thing, I should say something about is that, I can't see China wanting to get into a trade war or any other kind of war because we're their number one client. How can we pay them or give them all our money and buy all their stuff if we're shooting at each other? That'll get in the way of, and they need that money to grow their economy, for their people. So, but there's nationalism and stuff in China. They want Taiwan back. I mean, it's not ours. It's that they're just other Chinese people who don't want to be part of, the communist, system. But, the one China policy and all that stuff, it went back to Nixon trying to pry China away from the Soviet sphere of influence back in the 50s or something, and God, there's just so much shit going on in the world. We have two elections coming up in Europe, France and Germany, and if Merkel loses and Marie Le Pen wins in France, then you'll have very conservative governments that want, and they will have a referendum to drop out of the EU. And then what happens to all the European banks? Deutsche Bank has problems, Monte dei Paschi, all the Italian banks, and and Mario Draghi, who knows what's going to happen to the ECB, and it's really with the huge amounts of debt, here, T-Web is listening. There's my debt pop sound. I don't know what's going to happen if and when. Somebody said, like, what do you really think the people in charge are going to let the world, something go wrong because they have more to lose than anybody else? Well, they have more to gain than anybody else. I mean, like JP Morgan has cornered, like they have so much physical silver stocked up, and they also have they're still the world's biggest, shorts and derivative exposure is like Deutsche Bank, I think, but there's more stuff that can go wrong, with sovereign debt in the world and unfunded liabilities like for VA benefits, Medicaid, Medicare, Obamacare, Social Security. In Hawaii, there's like the Hawaii rail transit system that's like over budget, 70% unfunded liabilities for pension funds. People, there's a lot of states that want us to secede from the union or something if because over the whole sanctuary cities thing, it's, who knows what's going to happen. I don't. I don't even know which way the prices of precious metals are going. I think Daniel said something earlier about, 10-ounce silver bars being, slightly on sale at one of the online retailers. But, I honestly, it's been going up and up, the prices for the last, 3 weeks, pretty much. Just like Friday, I think it went up 50 cents, but mostly it goes up 10 or 20 cents a day. It hasn't been going down at all. But, I think gold is at a recent high, who knows? I don't know which way it's going to go. If I knew for sure, I would buy. I would load up. But on the stuff, and I have some. Let me do the screen share of that. I posted something. Gun Channels has a one page for preppers called gunchannels.com/prepper, and I did post a link to a prepper matrix. So if you ever check out gunchannels.com, it is free to join. You meet a lot of interesting people who know a lot about firearms and the Second Amendment recent court cases and organizations that are all about preserving that particular freedom listed in the Bill of Rights. And let me hit the screen share button, see if I could find it. Yep, no, that's not it. Prepper Matrix, is this it? No, that's not it. It's on the edge. Let me try it one more time. Prepper Matrix version 1. Sorry, give me a second while I try and push all these right buttons.
Are you looking at the PDF?
I think so. Wait, this is the web page, not the PDFs. No, that's not it.
It's kind of like a flow chart.
Yeah, it's kind of like a flow chart, but I think it's worthwhile to, if I can get to it on this. That's where Google Hangouts is just not what it used to be. Oh, here it is. Can you see this on the Hangout?
Yeah, I've got the PDF up on my computer. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Can you see it through this Hangout phone?
Yeah.
Share?
Yep.
Okay. Let me hit the present to all buttons for a minute. Present to everyone. Yeah, because the way the Hangout working, it's not really showing it, but I'll just stay on the page. So what this is, it shows, it's kind of like a prepper matrix, and it helps you kind of go through, and evaluate yourself, your own preps, and so you can think of what you have and what you need to work on, so you know what your weaknesses are. I mean, like most of the people's on gun channels, okay, we got guns, right? Because we're on gun channels and everybody's all about that. But, what are your weaknesses? Okay, there's energy, and it, talks about wind, batteries, gasification, and there's all kinds of stuff. And, you can research any of these things. Communications. I know I just got a Bofang 8-watt handheld VHF, UHF radio. Survival plans, as you plan to bug out, bug in, and it just covers everything in like a flow chart. Protection and food, water, and medical, and it's really useful chart. So I put a link to it in gunchannels.com/prepper, that little section of gun channels. And if anybody else has any interesting links, you can post it. But it's because when you go through working on your preps, you have to figure out what are your weaknesses, because you're going to have some. I know I did, but they're getting less and less. So what I always try and do, every month, is I try and figure out, okay, what am I going to work on this month, and I try and add something, and whether it's a skill or an item. Skills are easier because learning stuff doesn't necessarily cost you a lot of money or any money. There's a lot of resources on YouTube and on the internet where you can just learn stuff, like energy. I don't know what gas. I vaguely have an idea of what gasification is, but let's not. I won't go into that right now. Solar panels. It's just so it's like a flow chart, and it covers pretty much everything. So I thought this was worth everybody having a look at, because if you just go through it and evaluate your stuff, if you print it out, it's easier to look at it on the computer than it is to print it out, because you'd have to print it out really big you'd have to because there's just so much stuff on it. If you were to print this out, you'd need to go to a shop that had could print huge charts. Because just printing this out on a regular piece of paper isn't going to do you much good. So you have to put on your computer. You can zoom in on stuff and just think about it or talk about it. So when people ask you what your bug out gun is, boy, do you really want to bug out? You may have to. I think the main thing is you have to have an idea of where you're going to bug out to. if it's possible. On the Big Island, we have the main problem would be, you're going to run into roadblocks, and you could be stopped and searched for contraband or whatever by, whatever idiot militia groups thinks they're in charge, or, the National Guard or whatever the politicians, say you can or can't have. But there's just a one-lane highway, that, one lane each way that goes. It's called the Belt Road that goes all the way around the Big Island. It'd be really easy to set up a roadblock anywhere, and have the government seize supplies. It's like, do you have any medical supplies? Give them over. Or do you have any drugs? Give them up. Or any prescription medications? Turn them in here. And what are you going to do with 9 cops with guns saying you have to turn in all your stuff? So that would be a problem. Driving along the Belt Road, I could just see checkpoints, either legal or illegal, set up. So bugging out here, that could be a problem on a vehicle because of just how easy it would be to stop, set up if you were a looter, you could just set up your own checkpoint with just not too many people and, just at gunpoint force people to, give up stuff that they don't want to part with, and that would be illegal, but, somebody could do that. So, it's like that. What was the movie? Hunt for Red October, where Fred, the guy from Law and Order, the U.S. Senator, Fred Thompson, has that one line: Russians don't take a dump without a plan. So it helps to have a plan. Where are you going to bug out to? Where are you going to bug out to? Does that mean you have to make a deal with somebody, to bug out to the country if you don't have a place in the country? Or do you have a specific place that you want to bug out that you think would be safe to bug out and have enough resources for you to make out on, or just be out of Dodge, I'm
going to Dusty's place.
You going to Dusty's place? You guys have worked that out?
No, we haven't. But, since we're on air, why not?
All right, well, you can use this chat to work out your bug out plan, but people will be listening, so, you could talk about operational security and maybe wait till the off-air chat at least, but only the NSA will be listening. But, there's, communications, you want to have codes set up. You want to have your own code book or write your own code so that you could talk on open radio frequencies and not have people completely understand, exactly what you're doing. There's just a lot of planning that could go into this, every aspect of this stuff. And so it's interesting and it's a good hobby, because you could just keep yourself busy for endless hours. It's not just about going out and buying, 10-year supply of food. Not that there would be anything wrong with that. I couldn't fit it in my condo, but it's just that there's a lot of, one thing I didn't like about Never Enough Ammo's chat is that after I listened to one, I always wanted to go out and panic buy either guns or ammo or something, medical supplies or something. And it's like, you get that urge, just run out and buy something, and that gets expensive.
Yeah, but you only want to buy Maverick 88s and Tauruses after the chat. That's all.
So I don't want to leave anybody with the impression that they have to run out and go do an ammo run or buy, 10 cases of Campbell's soup tomorrow, because I don't think, the end of the world will be tomorrow, and you're probably able to get through, just fine. But yeah, whenever I go to Costco, get a case of Amy's soup and stack them, and over, if you do that, you do 12 trips, you do one trip to Costco every month, and you buy a case of Amy's organic soup every month, well, then you'll have like cases. I forget how many cans in one of those cases, but it's not that expensive, So over the years, I built up a ton of ammo. Um,
Yeah, a cold can of soup will not hurt you. I know some people won't eat stuff out of a can. Some people won't eat stuff that's cold. But I'm telling you what, if you're hungry, you can get a can opener, crack open that can. You can just drink it like a drink, or you can spoon it out, and you'll be just fine. I've had many a time where I've had no power, and that's what it was. It was a cold can of soup or raviolis or something like that, and it was.
you
You know
you
what?
don't you don't have a like a butane stove that you can warm stuff up on?
I could heat it up on the grill or something else like that, but for the hassle, screw it. Just gulp it down. I learned like I was saying, with all the hurricanes and stuff when I was a kid, you go without power for a couple days or a week or something like that. It's just if you want to eat and you want to eat now, you just crack open that can of whatever it is and just gulp it down, and you're good to go. And I learned how to enjoy cold food, and I know there's people there just absolutely will not. So if you want to heat it up, heat it up. I know that when I was in the military, they had the MRE heaters, and some of the guys really wanted to heat up their food. I was already used to eating cold food, so it didn't bother me. Those MRE heaters smell so bad that the stench I would lose my appetite. So I just prefer to eat my stuff cold.
I never even tried those. Butane doesn't have much of a smell, so
Dead Horse was
When
saying
we're
a P38 can opener should be on your keychain, and he's right.
I don't have it on my keychain. I have it in all my hydration bag and my bug out bag. But
What were you saying, Dusty?
I was going to say, when we're camping, I just set the can on the fire, and that heats it up too.
Yeah.
that'll do it. All right, let me go check and see if anybody's typing anything on gun channels or probably aren't complaining about America on gun channels, but you never know. No, not much talk on gun channels. I don't see any typing. People type stuff. All right, let's see on YouTube.
On gun channels, the Spanish word of the day is pendejo, which means idiot, stupid, or asshole.
I remember I actually said that to somebody in a chat, not in a chat, in a dubbing session. Pissed off everybody. I just saw it. I didn't even know what it meant. I had seen it in Aliens, And it's somebody and some guy was trying to kept messing up the loop and doing it over and over. So I was like, I got tired of hitting the rewind record button over and over when he kept messing it up, and I was like, "Pendejo, can't you get it right?" And then then everybody got mad and stuff. So I don't even know what it means, I just saw it in Aliens. What do you want from me? And why can't he do the loop right? Damn it. So anyway, but yeah, I can insult people in all kinds of different languages, and it helps if I wanted to insult somebody and they don't understand what I'm saying, because if I don't want them to understand what I'm actually saying. But anyway, do not heat in can. Daniel says don't heat it in the can. All right, unless you want to eat the preservatives, which are not intended to be eaten. I don't know any
preservatives.
I assume whatever preservatives they use for canning. I don't know.
I thought they just coated the inside with tin.
I don't know. You and Dano. Okay, Dano should have to come on to have that argument because I'm not really sure.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I just eat it cold. To hell with it. Your stomach will gurgle a little bit afterwards.
What's that, guys?
I was going to say, it hasn't affected me yet. I've done it for years, so.
Yeah. Suck it up and deal with it.
Yeah, the biker Bob always says suck it up, buttercup. I don't know anything about, eating from cans. I guess it's just do what you got to do. I mean, I like hot food, but
I like hot food too. Don't get me wrong, but that's one of the great things they would show us about MREs was that some of the stuff, like the peanut butter, for example, you just you cut off the edge of the tube and you squirt it onto the crackers, and you have peanut butter and crackers. Well, what if you're in a situation where you got to eat in a hurry? You just cut off the corner of the tube, just squirt the whole thing into your mouth, gulp it down, chase it with some water out of your canteen, and you're back in the fight. And That's one of the things about eating the food cold or having food that, you can just take out of a container, a can, a bag, whatever, gulp it down, and then you're back doing whatever it is you were doing, whether it be working at a job where you don't have time to stop for lunch break, or whether it be in some sort of military or survival situation. Your body don't stop burning calories, so you got to feed the machine, but sometimes you don't have the luxury of hot chow. And, when we were out in the field, we get 3 meals a day, and 2 of them were MREs, and 1 of them was hot chow that they would drive in or fly in. And everybody really liked that hot chow. I mean, I can't say that I would have rather had an MRE. I definitely like getting the hot chow. We'd usually get more coffee or something like that when with a hot chow, or but you can't always count on that.
I saw all the trouble that they go to get hot chow to forward bases. I mean, they have these like the air, when they do airdrops and stuff, they have like parachutes that they can direct to land. Specifically, they can control the direction. The parachutes will automatically steer towards where the base is and stuff. And they're just basically dropping food, so they don't want the people from the base to have to go out too far from the base to get their food drop and get killed just trying to get a bag because that's kind of demoralizing to get killed if you're just trying to get your food But
one of the things hot chow does is it builds morale. You're looking forward to that hot meal, depending on what time of the day it is. But you're looking forward to that hot meal, and that'll motivate you to maybe move a little faster, or get the job done, or whatever it is, because it's just something. It's like mail call. It's something to look forward to.
Well, I wanted to say this about survival and prepping. It's that the thing about that you have to get, that I think it's the hard truth is, at some point something bad is really going to happen to you. And you're going to be like, I just don't want to deal with it, and I don't want to get up. But if you're going to be a survivalist or a prepper, the test isn't how much stuff you could sack away, how much food you can, the test is how hard you're going to bounce back up after you just get slammed into the ground and everything hurts and you feel like shit. How hard can you bounce back up? That's the test that you got to pass. And I think you probably get that in the military, at least some of it, because it's easy to quit, and that's the easiest play, to quit, and it's not easy to get up, because sometimes life will just slam you down hard, and it's going to be painful to get back up, and it's going to be easier just to stay down, and because bad things will happen to you in your life, and especially if the shit hits the fan, some real bad stuff could happen. But just in your everyday life, you're going to get slammed down. Sometimes stuff isn't going to go right. So, something's going to go wrong, and then you have to figure out how to bounce back up, and come back up screaming, and fighting. And so I would say that's not on the charts. But Dano, if you couldn't see the whole chart, by the way, it's on gunchannels.com/prepper. There's a link to it. You can just download the PDF. But yeah, getting up after being slammed to the ground and everything hurts so hard that you can't possibly even conceive of the pain, then getting back up and fighting through it all and bouncing right back up, like a basketball, slam the basketball into the ground, it bounces right back up. So I'd say be a basketball. I think Bruce Lee said be water, but I would say be a basketball. And speaking of which, the Lakers actually won a game after losing 12 in a row or something. So that's bouncing back up. I think the New York Knicks at the Garden, they beat them. But I don't know if the Knicks are any good this year, but I think Derrick Rose is having a bad year. But I think he got less than 10 points in this game. But they were all chanting for meta world peace. He's been slammed down and gotten back up. But that would be the one thing I would say is come back up screaming when you get slammed down, because you will get slammed down eventually. in your life, you can just fucking count on it. You know? So just practice getting back up after getting slammed down. You know, getting run over by a bus. You know, what was the name of the bus that ran you over? Get the fuck back up. You know, your leg may be broken, your arm may not be working, and your rifle may have some problem, but you know, stand back up. And but anyway, that's my motivational speech. You know, I'm sure Arlie Emery could give it better. You know, to you than I could. I mean, I saw Full Metal Jacket. You know, when I was a kid, I was the only thing that really scared me about that film was getting the haircut at the beginning.
No,
really,
it's over quick. It's over real quick.
I was so I had I don't know girls. I had this girl call me that I used to date in high school, and she actually called my parents and says, "Whatever happened to Steve? You know, I really liked his hair. You know, so." And when I was a kid, I guess I had a good haircut or something and so. But when I saw Full Metal Jacket and they cut off their hair, I was like, yeah, I do that. I do the same thing now, you know, with just the shears at my, you know. But when I was a kid, that was like the most frightening thing about that movie wasn't going into combat or shooting a gun. It was the haircut.
Okay, so here's a piece of advice for any kid that's out there listening that's considering joining the Marines. Don't cut your hair before you go to boot camp. Let it grow out some. It'll be easier. The more hair you have on your head, the easier it'll be. They will shave your head in 10 seconds. I'm not kidding. They will smack you in the forehead with one hand, yank your head back about, bend your neck backwards, take those shears, drive them into your scalp, and just pull back. And in a couple strokes, you've got nothing left. If you decide to get a crew cut, they will do that anyhow, except they will draw blood. They will draw blood just to prove a point. But yeah, if you've got more hair on the top of your head, it'll go easier. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to take away your identity. They're trying to make everybody the same thing, everybody a number of, what they do is they do a process where they break you down, they build you up, and they teach you teamwork. And at the time, all you feel like is you're suffering. But they do teach you how to work within a team and how to, you know, even though this guy might be annoying and stuff, he is your brother, and you know, watch out for him and he watches out for you. And it does kind of take away your personal identity so that you become part of the team, because that at the end of the day, that's more important than you yourself. But I don't know, I've kept the short haircut, so it works for me.
Less wind resistance.
Well, they told us the reason we had to shave wasn't necessarily because, you know, they didn't want us to look nasty. They said it was so that we could wear the gas masks. Because I guess you're supposed to put a gas mask on a clean-shaven face, and you can leave it on for up to 30 days.
I have been so putting off buying a gas mask, and I know, like, somebody gave me a link for one, and it's like an Israeli mask that wasn't too expensive. But a lot of them say, though, only for, you know, collector reasons, you know, but I hope they still work, you know, if they sell them. I know people aren't buying them for just collector's reasons, but
you could get filtered, right?
Yeah, the 40 millimeter filters. You know, people were giving me links. I have to do it still. You know, I think my last big purchase was the radio, and it wasn't that big of a purchase, but you know, I've got some medical expenses this month, so I'm not like going crazy on coins, bars, or gas masks. But I think that'll be the next thing. Every other fucking prepper has a gas mask, and even my dad has a gas mask, but I don't. So I'm gonna have to. I want to get one before World War III starts. I think China was testing out some new missiles or something, and Iran is testing out new ballistic missiles, and you know. So who knows? Fucking crazy countries in the world, you know, want to, you know, start nuclear war. You know, it's like, how stupid can you fucking be? Nobody wins those things. It's not combat. It's insanity. Global planetary mass extinction. You know,
wearing a gas mask is not comfortable, but getting hit with tear gas is even more uncomfortable. So I'll opt for the mask.
Yep, and you know, and plus, you know, you got to buy a supply of canisters.
Yeah, I found some used masks here, but I don't see the replacement cans.
I know I have some links. I could try and send them to you that because I bookmarked all of them, but my book every time I go on gun channels, I wind up with like 5 more bookmarks every day because people are always try to help you and here's a deal on this or here's a deal on that, and so I wind up, my bookmarks on my browser is just completely out of control. No matter how much I try and organize them, it's like, I'm a bookmark hoarder or something, and I can't get out the front door because there's so many flipping bookmarks on my browser. Oh man. But anyway. All right. Dusty, what are your top 3 bug out guns? Earth to Dusty.
Well, yep. I'm eating peanut butter, so I had to wait till I could talk. If you went with guns I had, I probably would grab one of my ARs. I have another AR that I built to take a Glock magazine, so I probably would grab it.
Which is?
Glock pistol 17.
Glock 17. Okay. What generation is your Glock?
I think it's a 3.
A 3. Okay.
But I would
mine's
just
a 4,
grab
but
it because it's the same magazine as the AR I built.
okay. I've never.
And I have all kinds of.
Go ahead.
I said I got all kinds of 9mm ammo too, and I've got all kinds of 223 ammo. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to the range again. My foot's, I think, almost good enough to survive running around on that rocky soil, but maybe another week I'll be up for it. I miss going out there shooting, and it's just spraining my ankle. It's a bitch. But so there will be some more range videos coming up soon. Never fear. Let's see. So yeah, I might go out and go on Amazon and get some, number 10 cans of Mountain House stuff. I've heard a lot of good things about Mountain House. I have a bunch of single container bags of Mountain House. Haven't gone out and bought any of the big cans of stuff, but it's not that expensive. So to add, another week of food to your supplies. But yeah, I always try and keep my pantry full, and fresh stuff. But rotating food, and fresh food is like a lot of work, and I'm trying to eat healthy and stuff. So, but anyway, all right. So let's see. Anything else? Any other prepping subjects we should cover? Let me go see if there's any questions.
Dano brought up bulletproof vests. I do not have any body armor. I guess it's something that I don't really think that I need. I have no problem with somebody owning one, but if it's got my name on it, it's got my name on it. So
Clay needs to buy a can opener. All right. They're like 30 cents or something for the small little ones that you could, pack away. But you could go to Walmart and buy a can opener manual. Armor. I saw that I think Sportsman's Guide has some used German level 1 knife, armor. I mean, which is, it's not bulletproof or anything, but it save you from a knife attack to your body. I mean, it's like 5 times harder than steel. Kevlar body armor. I mean, it's just compared to like the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages. It's light. It's $150. It's not bulletproof, But if somebody attacks you with a knife, they won't get through. And compared to it's better than a lot heavier steel armor that they used to wear. I mean, it's not a bad deal, really, when you think about it. If it doesn't weigh too much, it doesn't cost too much, and you don't want to count. It won't do you any good in a gunfight, but it'll do
I'm
you.
sure. I'm sure if I got shot in the torso and I survived, later on I'd be thinking, why wasn't I wearing armor? But some of that stuff doesn't work with every caliber. And I'm not talking about 50 BMG, but I'm talking about some of the stuff that'll stop a high-powered rifle round is exclusive to the military, or it's very expensive or hard to get. You know, I mean, if you want something that'll stop a 9mm or 40 Smith & Wesson or something like that, I mean, that's out there. But
people were linking that stuff on gun channels just yesterday. Some not terribly expensive armor that will stop most, like 885, or a green that'll stop green tips and stuff.
Well, as much as people bitch about heavy guns and heavy ammunition having to carry all that stuff, I don't. But I would bitch about how uncomfortable the armor is, how hot it'll make you, how it'll slow you down, stuff like that. And I suppose somebody would be like, you aren't going to complain about a 10-pound rifle and carrying, a couple hundred rounds of ammo in your backpack, but you're going to complain about how much body armor slows you down or makes you uncomfortable. Yes, I am. I've worn it in the military, and,
it depends.
It has its place. I guess it's low on my priority list, but just because it's a low priority for me doesn't mean it's not a high priority for somebody else.
Really, I would imagine it would really depend on your threat environment, the threats you were facing.
Here's the thing, though. If somebody came up on me and they had a vest on, okay, and I could tell that they had a vest on, I'd just shoot them in the head. So, what good does a vest do them?
Or you miss, but. I basically, I have to say the local gun shop guy who owns the last gun shop, I guess, in West Hawaii, he had bought like $3,000 worth of body armor for himself and his wife made him sell it all because it was $3,000. So he said, this is a super lightweight stuff. Do you want to buy it? It's like, I'm not paying $3,000 for body armor. I got other, priorities, and maybe the super lightweight stuff that'll stop anything costs that much. I don't know, but somebody bought it off of him. Somebody bought it off of him. It must have been law enforcement guy that bought it off of him.
Years ago, the military came up with a flak jacket that looked a lot like the same old flak jacket, the one I wore, the one they had in Vietnam or whatnot. But this one would actually stop 7.62 by 39. It was actually finally a decent flak, because in the past the flak jackets have really been only for shrapnel. They couldn't stop a high-powered rifle round, and they finally come up with one during the Iraq and Afghanistan campaign there. And the problem was they couldn't get them into the supply chain fast enough, and there were guys deploying over there that wanted these new jackets, and they couldn't get them. So there were wealthy parents buying these things for their kids and shipping them over to Iraq and Afghanistan so that at least their kid would be the one kid in the unit with this. And when the government found out about it, I guess these people were getting in trouble because it was illegal to own this, and they had to own it in order to ship it over there. I don't even know how you stick one of these things in a mail without it getting caught, but hey, whatever.
Weren't parents like sending their kids like, stuff to up armor their Humvees too, at one point?
I don't know, but they might have been. I mean, there are plenty of people out there who have the resources to spend that sort of money, and I definitely would spend the money to save my kid's life. However, I don't have thousands of dollars to buy that level of body armor. What I thought was crap was that these people could buy this stuff, and however they got a hold of it, legally, illegally, whatever, they could buy it when the Defense Department couldn't procure it fast enough. And I also think it's crap that they would outlaw it. Why? Because it'll stop an AK round? And what's wrong with me having body armor that'll stop an AK round? What's wrong with that?
Well, it's like you're supposed. It's like I've seen a lot of the websites that sell body armor say you need like clearance from the police, and a clean criminal record. And I don't know how you're supposed to get a clearance, a criminal abstract of your police record if you're deployed overseas. But,
I don't see a reason why they should deny it. I just don't want to spend the money on it for something that I just don't think I'll use.
Yeah, well, not everybody, in the military is, in it just, for a paycheck, and they might have rich parents, they could afford, to buy it, or friends, just rich friends that want to help them, not even their family, hell, everybody, is feeling patriotic lately and, wants to do something nice for somebody in the military,
I heard about that on the news, so I don't know how accurate the story was. It was a long time ago, but I was just excited that they had new flak jackets that actually could stop an AK round. I mean, it's about damn time. So,
well, it is the preferred weapon of the enemy. It's my preferred shit as the fan. I mean, I'd like to take my Tavor with me too. If I could throw all my guns in the car in the Blazer, I would. But if I have to walk, I'm not carrying more than 3 guns. So if I had 3, if I could carry if I had a 50 BMG, maybe I'd carry that. But it's like you have to draw the line of what you can actually walk around with. Not have carry every gun that you own with you. Just in case. Figure out what would be the best gun to shoot the bad guy with. Just carry what you can. What you can work with and learn how to shoot it all. I mean, and get out there at the range and practice. I need to follow my own advice. It's just my foot has been slowing me down lately. I've just been going to and from the hot tub every day. It's been my workout, and I'm doing weightlifting and stuff too. But hopefully, my foot will be up to charging around on loose gravel up to that really soon. I want to get trigger happy again. Like I said, I've never been in the military, but I am trigger happy. So, I was on earlier in the lobby looking at a bunch of knives that were on my. We were talking about I think with Clay or somebody about. Basically, I screen shared my Blade HQ wish list knives, and there's a couple of cool combat knives that were on there that are on my list. But some of them weren't cheap, and some of them, were medium. One was 150, one was like 400, or one was 600, I think. But and boy, the Elmax kitchen knife was like $350. But so yeah, you have to like. Sometimes you just have to not buy everything that you want. Sometimes the best decision is to do nothing, not buy anything. Save your money for something important. No matter how cool the next gun or knife looks.
Yeah, pay your bills first.
Yeah, don't get into debt like the rest of the country has. I think we're at 100. We are at 19,972 billion and change, and it's still going up. So I hope our president can fix that one day. But so far, it's still going up. Doesn't include unfunded liabilities. So, all right, let me check out the external really quick. Just Danos is going gray is the easy way. You got rid of your camo? Jared Walsh says he got rid of most of his camo. Yeah, well, it wasn't I think my bug out, my shit hits the fan fantasy is to just disappear. The reason my Tavor is painted like, tiger stripe camos, and I have tiger stripe camos so I could disappear into the jungle and become invisible. But yeah, it would be like just walking down a regular street. You don't want to wear tiger stripes because you kind of stand out like a sore thumb. But if you're in the jungle, it's different. And we do have a lot of jungle here, but right now I'm not living in the middle of it. Let's see, Gray Man. That's another bug out. That goes into all your whole bug out philosophies. You go Gray Man, bug out, or disappear into the jungle, bug out to the jungle. Body armor, it's on my list, but I think night vision has got to be on my, if I had to pick the most expensive thing that I would be really cool to have, it would be night vision. Night vision in the jungle, yeah. And, thermal. I know because I was looking at like the guy who has a YouTube channel and he tests out all the kinds of camo. After watching all of his videos and seeing how effective camouflage can actually be, I was like, well, I'm not going out of my base camp without like thermal, because I couldn't see him a lot of the times where he was. If you know how to use camouflage and practice movement, and noise discipline, then you can pretty much be invisible to somebody that doesn't have night vision and thermal. So I think that's why I have all my camo gear, because it works. But whether I could actually bug out to someplace where it would be effective is, in the city you have to go kind of gray man and have a different kind of way to blend in and not get caught. But yeah, night vision. If I win the lottery or just get a bunch of extra money, or my gold and silver suddenly becomes incredibly valuable and I could buy everything I want, then I definitely would get into night vision. I think I would have to take a course. I know G-Web said something about someplace in Arizona where they not only sell night vision but have courses, practice, train with it. And we don't have anything like that on the Big Island for civilians that I'm aware of. So, did you ever use night vision in the military?
Our air crews used them. I looked through a PVS-4 scope, which is way outdated now, and looked through the same NVGs, night vision goggles, that the air crew used. But no, the night training we did, we used flares and whatnot mostly, but air crews use them constantly.
Well, I have road flares. Is all I have. I don't have flares that I could shoot up into the air. Yeah, night vision is more expensive than soft armor.
The night vision has come down in price from what it used to be back in the day, though.
Yeah, the thing is, in considering what they may do within Vietnam, and the snipers, the night vision scopes that they had, considering you can get something like that for dirt cheap. State-of-the-art night vision will cost you plenty. You could go way over 10 grand really quick. But I've seen not very expensive night vision scopes for rifle scopes that are Gen 1, and it's like what they used in Vietnam, and it's better than nothing. If you have night vision and the other guy doesn't, then you win. I guess that's the whole point of it.
Okay, I looked up the body armor that I heard about on the news, and all I can find on these websites that sell it looks like it's totally illegal to buy and totally illegal to own. It's just illegal to ship it out of the country. So maybe that's how these parents got in trouble. It wasn't from owning it, it was from shipping it overseas. I'm not entirely sure. I just want to point that out just in case I'm wrong.
Most of them had bases. I think most of them say like military bases are okay, but things may have changed since people got into trouble. They may have dealt with it, that made the rules so that, their soldiers' parents don't get in trouble for sending them, body armor. Let's see.
You can make your own armor. It's going to be a lot heavier and a lot more uncomfortable, but you could fashion something out of steel plates and have some heavy canvas sewn up into pockets that you can put on a vest and whatnot. But I got to tell you, it weighs so much. You get that thing, you take it off as soon as you could. So
it sounds like something I would, if I had it, I would only put on body armor when, if I knew I was coming up against a threat, a specific threat. If I was going to assault, a fortification that I didn't have any choice but to assault some fortification, then okay, I'd throw it on, but otherwise it would probably stay in the transportation vehicle, until I actually needed it. I don't think I'd just walk around with it for no reason, just in case somebody took a shot at me. It sounds, I don't know, depends unless the shit really got crazy and there was combat, everybody was shooting all around the clock 24 hours a day, you're in a combat zone, but I've never been in a combat zone. unless you count homeowner board meetings. But that's just people yelling at each other. So I don't think that counts as combat. Let's see. All right. Let's look. Yeah. Well, I know night vision is more expensive than soft armor, so that's why it's definitely on my number one on my wish list, because it was one of those game changer items. But yeah, the human says it's difficult to prep in the UK. I know I've talked to a lot of bushcrafters, and you can have bushcrafting knives. And yeah, if you have a farm, you have enough property, you can get a permit. It's not impossible to get a shotgun in the UK. It's not. But it helps if you have land.
Well, here's the thing: if enough people over there got together and formed an organization like the NRA and got enough push in the government and got enough information out there where people weren't so anti-gun, they might be able to get some of their gun laws back. This is not an easy thing to do. It's not a cheap thing to do, and it's not an instant thing to do. But I don't know what's being done over there, if anything. Not just
right now, they're all
other countries where they've lost their rights. Is anybody over there fighting? I mean,
yes and no. I mean, right now everybody's all consumed with Brexit and leaving the EU. I mean, if there are going to be 2 elections in Germany and France, and Britain is still trying to figure out how to leave the EU or if they can, and fighting with their own courts, and the politicians are, and they're all everybody's just either getting out of the EU, and it's all about that right now.
You know what's a shame is he's in England right now, and I've got 3 English rifles in my safe. He should have a safe full of English rifles. It's not fair.
It's not fair, But there's a lot of things you can prep. You shouldn't just not prep until you can get a gun. I mean, you can get, they passed a law against zombie knives, which is, there's no such thing as a zombie. So anyway, I won't go into it, but you can get bushcrafting knives, and you can get a shotgun if you have property that, or like, a farm or something. It's not impossible to get firearms in the UK. I mean, it's limited, and yeah, I mean, you even need a permit to get you even need an air rifle certificate to get a BB gun. I mean, how stupid can you be? I did a video or 2 on UK gun rights, and like the one I did a hangout about with that, I think, World War II pamphlet when Americans were collecting guns to send over to the UK, in case the Germans invaded or something, but they won the Battle of Britain, and so Operation Sea Lion never happened, and the Germans didn't try and invade. But I did mention that if the civilians were so poorly armed that if England was invaded by the Spanish Armada with with cavalry and ancient weapons, they couldn't defend against that organized force with cavalry, lancers, and arquebusiers. But I even wrote the English commission that when they redid their firearm laws, I even wrote them a letter, because anybody could, they didn't. It wasn't a condition that they had to be, a citizen to it was. It wasn't a condition that you had to be a UK citizen to write to submit to the commission, the law commissioners who were redoing the firearms laws, and I did write a letter. And if you find it, it'll be in one of my videos. I have a complete printout of the letter that I submitted to the law commissioners on that. I tried to be historical and accurate, but anyway, I sympathize with you. Just do what you can do. I mean, you don't have to. If you can't get a gun, you can't get a gun. I mean, if I lived in England, I would get a gun even if it was illegal. But and because it's just, I'm not advising anybody to do anything illegal. I would say just get what you can get legally, and there's more to prepping than just owning a gun, because a lot of people on gun channels have guns, and a lot of people are not preppers, on gun channels. And that's fine, I mean, there's nothing wrong with not worrying about anything ever going wrong. It's just that, I know there are a lot of prepping things that you can do, there's a lot of preppers and that were hanging out. That's why I was wondering where the heck has Fox Company Prepping been? He hasn't been doing any hangouts lately, and I know he's been sick. So I hope Ron gets better. I miss arguing with him about whatever we argue about. It doesn't matter. It's all those people in the UK that I like, all those bushcrafting, knife building. They're just really cool people, and they're fun to talk to over there.
I would say if you're in England and you want to shoot guns, get on gun channels and ask somebody, or ask if there's anybody that's going to be in a certain area at a certain time because you're traveling to America and you'd like an American to take them out and shoot real guns and things like that. There's plenty of people out there that would love to meet somebody from another country and take them out shooting. I had an opportunity here to take two guys from England shooting, and there was a schedule conflict. Well, it turns out they ran into a couple cops at the bar and ended up going shooting with those cops, which was great because that's one of the things they wanted to do before they went back to England was shoot a real gun. So if somebody from another country was visiting and I happened to be in the area and they were on gun channels saying, hey, I'm going to be, visiting this part of America, would any of you care to take me out shooting? I would not hesitate to be a good ambassador.
Yeah, and there are shooting organizations and firearms organizations in the UK. I know there are too. It does help if you're, know somebody who has, some land, that they can, it's easier for them to get permits and stuff like they do. But hey, Skywarp, how's your Hinderer knives doing? Skywarp is a young knife collector. He's got a really cool collection of Hinderer knives, and other knives too.
And he can teleport.
He can teleport?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Skywarp. Yeah, it's like one of the Transformers or something. Yeah, yeah, they are awesome blades. I've been trying not to buy knives lately because I already have so many, but I'm sure it won't last too long. I'll probably wind up buying another knife, but I know DJ Trump. That's about the only DJ I know. Let's see. All right. Anything on gun channels or anything else we haven't covered? I'm sure we missed a lot of stuff.
How about something absolutely irrelevant?
Like?
There's an eclipse this week. There's a lunar eclipse. You won't be able to see it, though. Apparently, Hawaii is one of the places where you won't be able to see it.
Well, what we have here in Hawaii right now is we have like a fire hose of lava shooting into the ocean out of the basically right out of the edge of the ocean. There's basically a lava cliff, and then there's just this fire hose, this gigantic fire hose of lava shooting straight into the ocean. It's on Big Island Video News YouTube channel. If you go look it up, or just search fire hose lava tube, and just like it's video from yesterday. I mean, they have one video from like last week where the damn tube of lava is so big, and there's some guys, kind of near it, and you could just see relative to how big these people are that the lava, this gigantic tube of lava, fire hose sized tube of lava, it's like the circumference of the lava shooting into the ocean straight out and then down into the ocean is like 3 times bigger than a human. You know, it's just an amazing. Hawaii has some amazing. It's powerful natural phenomenon here that you just won't ever see anywhere else on the planet.
Yeah, I bet you get a show whenever you want. Whenever you want to, go to any of the volcanoes, you probably get a show.
Well, not always, but right now there are some parts where sometimes there's not a lot happening, but right now there is in all the volcanoes. It's just a question of getting out there, getting in the car and spending the money on gas. So.
Well, with regard to this eclipse or any eclipse, solar, lunar, whatever, there's sometimes where you can't see it in the northern hemisphere, you can't see it in the southern hemisphere, or it's cloudy that night or whatever. I did check the map because I was going to tell you what time it would be visible in Hawaii, but it won't be, unfortunately. There'll be another time where you could see it where you're at, and you won't be able to see it in Michigan. But here in Michigan, sunset this Friday is when it'll start, and it's at its maximum at about 7:43. If you want to find out what time you would be able to see it anywhere in the mainland, it looks like, just Google February 11th lunar eclipse. I had it in my calendar as February 11th, but when I Googled it, it came up as February 10th. So I don't know if it's just different times in different places or how that works out.
The 10th is Friday. Today is Monday the 6th. So anyway, I wanted to thank everybody on the Gun Channel side that's still here. Ohio 45 ACP, New Throne Clay. I want to thank my panelists, Squib and Dusty. And I want to thank everybody on the YouTube side. I know Skywarp is out there.
He just jumped in.
Hey.
Hey, Skywarp. Thanks for coming in, man. How you been?
You're welcome. Oh, pretty good.
I really like your Hinder and Knives. I haven't been keeping up on my YouTube feed and everybody's videos because it's just been out of control lately. There's been people putting out so many damn videos, and real life is getting in the way of me sitting down and watching 10 hours of people's videos a day. But have you gotten any new Hinderers lately, or?
No, but I'm saving up for one.
Yeah, I want to get more karambits, and I want to get something from zombietools.net this year. That's also on my list. And it's more likely to happen than night vision gear. Because they make some really great knives. Let me get on the Lock and Load side and on YouTube and say, okay, Just Dano, thanks for chiming in. And Mr. the Human from the UK. I love all my UK friends. All right, over there. Jared Walsh, thanks. And our friend from that Squib was giving a hard time to, he probably bailed by now. Big John, thanks for coming by.
John.
And
I'm going to drive away everybody who's watching.
You're going to, I think, I don't know how many people are left. We're the end is near.
I would appreciate if anybody would subscribe to me because I would love to have 400 subscribers right now.
Well, you've been on YouTube for a long time, but I know you stopped putting out videos for a little while.
Yeah, I just haven't been in on it yet lately.
Do you just do knife videos, or do you do gun videos too, or?
No, I do only knife videos. I think gun videos will be coming soon. Not sure when. I need to do a few. That'd be cool. That'll give me a lot more views. If I do.
What would be your top 3 bug out guns out of the guns you have? If you could only take 3 in a bug out situation, what would be the 3 you take and why?
I don't think he has any guns yet. Do you?
Oh.
No, not yet. But the top guns I would take if I had guns, a SIG 226, a Glock 19, and an H&K USP.
You take all handguns.
And maybe an AR-15.
Well, that's 4, but okay.
Yeah, you've got extra room because all the handguns.
Yeah, I think Skywarp is he didn't hit 18 yet, so I don't think he can go out and buy guns on his own just yet. So
No, I'm 24 years old.
you're 24 already? Oh, okay. I thought you were younger. All right.
I've been 24 for a year, like a long time.
Well, why don't you buy guns then? Okay, you're on gun channels now, so that's okay. You can buy knives. It's okay with me. I'm a knife person too. Guns are expensive.
Maybe one day I'll get a gun and I'll show it off.
Do you do? Have you done any videos with throwing knives?
No, I don't do any of those.
Oh.
I wish,
Well-
but no. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I don't do any throwing knives either, and I know I have some Spyderco throwing knives on my wish list, but it's like in the condo. If I started throwing knives around, I'd probably throw it through a drywall and into the guy in the next unit. That'd be my luck.
It's kind of, if you want to do a DIY of making a knife throwing dartboard thing, just get a piece of plywood that's pretty thick and it won't go through and it won't break. And just drill it to your wall.
I've been doing my Cali, some Cali drills with my Eskrima sticks, my Bahi sticks, and because if I do it in my condo, I'll just trash the TV, knock down the ceiling fan, and screw up the floor. If it'll probably just fly. I'll try and spin it, and the stick will fly out of my hand and screw something up really badly. So I have to wait. I have to go outside when I go out to the pool. I bring my Bahi sticks with me, and I just get out into the lawn behind the barbecue area, and there's enough lawn where there's enough room to groove and swing those sticks around. And if I don't bring my machete or my parang out and do the same drills, it's the same drills with the sticks as you would do it with a long edge blade, but I just do it with the sticks, and it's a good workout. If you do Broken 8 and a few other drills, it's a good workout and it's fun. I think some guy came up to me and thought I was practicing Jeet Kune Do, and I was like, no, these are Cali sticks. These are not Bruce Lee. It loosens up your shoulder, loosens up your wrist for swinging the sticks around. It's fun, but it's the same motion for knife fighting or with hands or swords. But stick fighting is like Filipino martial arts. They've been doing it forever. So it's just one of those good exercises. Like you're saying earlier, you got to keep in shape. And you can't just always have a gun and. It's no fun to just always have a gun and pull the trigger when the bad guy comes in. It's nice to be able to fight with something else besides just your guns. I mean, and it's good exercise. So I really like that, doing that behind the pool. But throwing knives, a lot of knife guys are really not into throwing knives, because there's so many other skills and throwing knives is like almost frowned upon by some knife people, but I don't know. I don't frown on it. I just don't practice it because I don't have enough. If I started throwing knives around, somebody would object. Out in the public, common condominium area, somebody would say, he's throwing knives around. That crazy son of a bitch with all those guns, throwing knives around. It's like, so. I suppose I could do it when nobody else is there, but there's usually always somebody else out by the pool. So anyway.
Over on the gun channel side, Sean Ponder is asking, who's the Decepticon?
Skywarp.
It's me, Skywarp, your loyal Decepticon.
I never seen the Transformers, but I've seen like some of the commercials, so I think I know kind of what that means, but just only from like commercials, in football games or something. I don't have a gun question. I need a gun. Guess that gun question to try and stump Sean Connery, but I used it last week on the crossbow question.
Forget it. There's no question about guns he can't answer.
I don't think he would have gotten the crossbow question, but from last week.
Oh, about the Pope?
Yeah, what weapon did the Pope ban? And it took like 10 minutes for somebody to come up with crossbow. So.
Hashtag Gun Channel's Oracle.
Hashtag I don't do any more gun question competitions anymore because of Sean. I think I beat him once, but I cheated or something, and then so I didn't apply for the prize, on the Daily Gun Show. So, because it didn't feel right. I just bought patches instead. So, anyway, because it helped out, keep the platform going. So, I guess. Is there anything you want to know about prepping? I'll just finish it off one more time. Gunchannels.com/prepping. I've got the prepper matrix on there. There's a lot of cool videos for prepping and some interesting links. I think there's just a bunch of really cool, helpful prepper stuff on there. So check that out. And if you have anything helpful for preppers, post it on there. Gun Channels is free to join, and there's a lot of really interesting people. Oh, you did get that one, Sean? Okay. And so, geez, there was something else. I'm going to look at, I know Gun Owners of America just sent me something recently before I finish. Let's see. They've got something to support this Trump Supreme Court nominee pick. Anti-gun groups have declared jihad against Gorsuch. Gotta love the way Gun Owners of America puts things. It's this very James Perez case which convinces anti-gun groups they must oppose Gorsuch. Says USA Today about these groups, quote, they cite his role in James Perez and other cases as reasons for their opposition. No wonder the New York Times says that Gorsuch, if confirmed, would be the second most conservative justice on the court, second only to Justice Clarence Thomas. Gun owners should understand that the goal of Gorsuch's opponents, many of whom announced their opposition before his identity was known, does not spring from any judgment about Gorsuch's qualifications, which are excellent. Rather, these opponents will denigrate any nominee until they can fill Scalia's seat with someone who will dismantle his legacy. Yeah. Well, so then the Gun Owners of America, it's like $20 a year to join them, and I know I just renewed my NRA membership like last week, but they send out links on how to they'll email it to you on how to contact. You click on the link to send a letter to your local to your federal representatives. To vote on the Gorsuch confirmation vote. I know my representatives will never vote for him, no matter how many emails. But it helps if they know that there's, people out there that are pro-gun, so they won't automatically just assume that everybody in Hawaii hates guns, so, just because they do, the bastards. Anyway, all right. Anything else from anybody on the panel before I close this one out? G-Webs wants a game show, weekly show for the Gun Channel's Jeopardy. AK bayonets for 500 points. It would be really cool. That would be a cool way. You know what would be good, Sean, is if you could do that and people could bet their, Gun Channel credits, So it's like, you can, I'll bet 500, or AK bayonets for 500 or crazy ammunition for 300 or stuff like that. And if they could bet their Gun Channel's points on a game show, gun questions, I know I'd probably lose all my points really quickly. I mean, because everybody, the people that always win are always the same people. I did want to say I saw a really good gun film. You have to phrase the responses in the form of the question. I saw a good gun movie earlier today, Veracruz, with two good actors. I had that. It was Gary Cooper and Burt Lancaster. Gary Cooper plays a Confederate colonel after the Civil War who's gone down to Mexico to try and make enough money to fix up his property plantation because he just the last battle of the Civil War for him was on his own property and his place got toasted. A YouTube guy won the tactical pop quiz. Cool. Who is Don Browning? Yeah, that would be Biker Bob's answer for every question.
Mine too.
So it was. What's really funny is that it's a Veracruz. So it's all bit in Mexico. Veracruz is the name of the film, and two great actors. And it's really funny. Burt Lancaster keeps telling Gary Cooper's character, "Don't draw your gun when you're near me." You know. Of course, they have a shootout at the end. So, but the whole through the film, Burt Lancaster keeps telling Cooper, "I wish you would stop drawing your gun. Damn it! Whenever you're near me, do not draw your gun." You know. And you can guess how the movie ends, because they have a shootout at the end, an Old West kind of shootout, where they actually walk up to each other and shoot it out, which is not how gunfights usually happen. So people will usually try and sneak up and shoot each other in the back, walk out into the street. That's Hollywood. But it was a movie, so it was Hollywood. All right. Sean, Skywarp, anybody have anything else to add before I cut this down? Squib, Dusty.
I'm good.
You're good? All right.
I'm good.
Well, we have spoken the truth rather contagiously because the stage was free. Thanks, everybody, for coming by. God bless our president, and God bless these United States of America. And wherever you are around the world, thanks for tuning in to Lock and Load. Love y'all. Let's see. This chat is about to be terminated.